first guest tonight is an Emmy-winning actress who plays the iconic Olivia Benson on Law & Order SVU. Her documentary, My Mom Jane, premieres June 27th on HBO and streams on Max. Let's take a look.
You're actually, and I've told this to other people, you're not the dumb blonde that you pretend to be. And I think the people ought to know that you're really a bright, sentimental, and understanding person. And this is a whole facade of yours that isn't based on what you actually are.
Oh, that's sweet of you.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I think you're aware of that, Jane. This is a kind of an act you do, isn't it?
Oh, it's,
Most
you know...
people don't know that, though.
I think that it's like this. The public pays money to box office to see me a certain way, and
they get their money's worth, too.
So I think it's just all part of the role I'm playing as an actress.
Please welcome back to the show, Mariska Hargitay, everybody. I want to talk about this incredibly moving, incredibly well-made documentary about your mother, but I do also want to talk real quick about your New York Knicks. And it was an incredible year.
And they are mine.
Well, they are. Ben Stiller, who's a fan and also has very nice seats like you, said all the celebrities are jealous because Jalen Brunson only hugs you after games.
This is true.
Okay. And this was a choice Jalen Brunson made. You didn't storm the court and hug him.
I did not. There's lots of security there.
Yeah, so how did your first post-game embrace with Jalen come to pass?
I said, Jalen, bring it in. You know how it started was they let me know that Jalen was a big fan.
Yeah.
And I was so flattered and thrilled because I was such a huge fan. And I think Jalen sort of grew up on SVU. That's what his dad, Rick, I call him Rick.
Yeah.
We're close like that. But Rick, I can't even say a real name. It feels like the biggest name drop. Rick called me. So he, I think, felt this sort of, you know, as many people do, that intimacy and safety that one does, you know, growing up on SVU.
He's a very cool guy, and then he did a very cool thing. He actually showed up to the premiere of your documentary. So look at that. You support him, and he's courtside for your documentary, which is about your mother. And, you know, so Jayne Mansfield, for those who didn't know, was, you know, a huge sort of cultural icon in the 50s and the 60s. I will admit, I didn't know much about her other than the fact that she was sort of like the stereotypical bombshell back in the day. And it seems like, you know, over the course of making this documentary, maybe you learned a lot more about what a layered person she was, not just as a human being, but also as a performer. She had a great many skills other than the way she looked. Yeah,
it was really a magnificent journey, and that's what I wanted to do, is really get to know her, because, you know, my dad had told me a little bit about her. She had a great sense of humor, and she was very different from this sort of on-screen persona, but I'd never got to see any of it, and I certainly didn't get to see what, you know, went on at home. So it was a just glorious journey and very intimate process that I had with my siblings.
It also, you know, you had a lot of trauma to unpack. You know, she died. You know, she died in a car accident. You were in the car. Your siblings were in the car. You were very young. You were 3, which speaks to why you had less memories than your siblings. But you went to them, and they seem certainly hesitant in the beginning to talk about her. What was their feedback once they saw the finished product?
Well, first of all, it was very sweet, because I flew out to LA to go meet with them and say, I want to do this, you know, but I want your blessing. I don't want to do it without your blessing. And of course, they were all hesitant and reticent and like, oh, I don't know what this means. And none of them are in, you know, they don't make movies. They're not actors. They're not in show business at all. And, but that they ended it with, we trust you, which was an extraordinary thing to hear from your siblings. But afterwards, when I showed it to them, I again flew out just to show it to them, and we had this private screening, and it was one of the highlights of my life, really, because it was a friend's screening room, and she knew that it was, you know, a private, intimate thing, so she said, why don't you guys watch it someplace? And there were 4 seats across, and so it was one brother, then my sister, me, and my other brother, and within 10 minutes in, 4 of us, were sitting in 2 seats, holding hands, and we held hands through the entire film.
Yeah.
And it was just really beautiful, and we all cried, and my sister said, which was so moving to me, I feel like we're 4 people with one beating heart.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, and their reaction was the most meaningful, and I said, if this film never sees the light of day, how they reacted to the film was all I cared about, that they loved it and it resonated with them. And I think it was very organizing for our family. You know, when you grow up with somebody who's an icon and who's a legend, I think to see the whole story is, again, organizing.
You know, I don't want to give anything away, although it's weird to say that there's sort of a twist in a thing that is your life. But
well,
you have
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because when Chris and I had to do EPK on Law and Order, and they would say, just always talk about the twists and turns. And Chris and I would laugh because during the EPK we'd sit there and go, I mean, there's just a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
And it's a way to talk about it without giving anything
when you
away.
talk about SVU and you're like, there's a lot of twists and turns.
And now I'm saying there's a lot of twists and turns,
Yeah.
but there's a big reveal.
There's a big reveal. This is a reveal that you have. I don't know if sitting on is the right word, but this is something you've known for decades.
Sitting
but you've
on
never
is accurate.
Yeah. And you make this decision to share this secret about her, about yourself. Cathartic to get it out in the world?
Extraordinarily so.
Yeah.
Cathartic and meaningful, and I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my back. And I think the thing that's most exciting, besides the actually getting to know my mom, getting to do a movie with my mom.
You did really make a movie with your mom.
I
And not only
did.
that, I mean, you kind of make the sort of movie that she was probably disappointed she didn't get to make, right? Like,
Yeah,
she didn't
very
get to
much
play
so.
three-dimensional characters
No,
because of
she
how she
didn't.
looked. And yet, because this was in your, very careful hands, like, she got to be, I don't know, she got to be probably what she most wanted to be on camera.
Well, she certainly got to be seen
Right.
as a three-dimensional person, which she was, and to learn about all the different facets of her and, her musical ability and how serious of an actor she wanted to be, and the fact that she navigated, 5 children and a career and the glamour of it all. I mean, it's hard getting it together, guys. It really
Yeah.
is.
There's footage of you on camera as a guest, basically on a talk show like this, because she brings her whole family out. 3 years old.
Yeah.
Did you have memories of that? I mean, had you watched that footage before you started putting this doc together?
I did.
Okay.
I did watch it. I was once in Italy and I met Merv Griffin.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I have something for you.
Right.
And I was like, oh, what is it? And he gave it to me, and I always described it like, if my house was on fire, that's what I'd grab.
Oh, really?
It was so precious to me because it was a piece of my life back, and I'd never seen it. But to see all the interactions and have that piece of yourself and that piece of your little self was...
She was also, certainly in the clips, I don't know if you felt this as well, but you walked back, she was very funny.
Very funny.
Yeah, and that was another thing that I just couldn't have imagined.
That's something that made me so happy, because the gift of making this movie was that there was so much archival.
Yeah.
That was the gift. And for a filmmaker, but also when you're looking to know your mom and seeing these sacred, candid moments of her and these expressions that I never got to see because so much of it was a pose and being a sex symbol and an icon and, playing the dumb blonde, which, I was not a fan of growing up.
Yeah, and then, but again, like I said, I feel like it's, I don't know if, she necessarily needed an image rehabilitation, but I think you just showed her to the world in a way.
I do a good makeover.
You do a really good makeover. And I was watching it at my desk, and
Thank
I was
you.
crying a lot. And, I cry every episode of SVU too. I'm, just every time.
it's...
I'm always like, they got him.
How do they do it every time?
Or alternatively, I'm like, he got away. Either way, I'm crying no matter what. But this one was a really good cry, and I just want to say congratulations.
Thank
It was really
you.
special, and
Thank you.
I'm excited for everybody to see it. You guys,
Me too.
this is Mariska Hargitay, My Mom Jane. Premieres June 27th on HBO and streams on Max. We'll be right back with Jacob Tremblay.